At 1:20 p.m. on March 23, 2005, an explosion occurred at the BP Texas City refinery. During the startup of their isomerization unit, liquid hydrocarbon had accumulated, causing the system control to open a valve to their blowdown drum. The hot liquid quickly filled the drum, causing a geyser of liquid hydrocarbon to come out the top. This created a hydrocarbon vapor cloud near ground level, which was ignited by an idling diesel truck nearby. Following this incident, OSHA conducted an investigation where they found BP to have over 300 safety violations, for which they were fined $21 million. The accident was the result of a long-term neglect for safety measures. The blowdown drum and stacks shown here were constructed in the 1950s and had not been updated since. Leading up to the 2005 disaster, there were many indications of malfunction in this isomerization unit. Level alarms, pressure indicators, and control valves in both the splitter tower and the blowdown drum had previously failed. During the restart of the system, however, the level in the splitter tower rose to 158 feet, while equipment indicated a level of only 7.9 feet. The experienced supervisor on site had to leave work for a family emergency, replaced by someone who lacked experience with this isomerization unit. The hydrocarbon mixture heated, boiled over into the piping, triggered the ineffective safety relief valves, and was redirected into the blowdown drum. The contents of this drum were mischaracterized as non-combustible, and they began to shoot up the top, failing to trigger an alarm. Upon vaporization, the vapors were ignited by an engine of a nearby diesel truck located too close to production, and the result was a massive explosion. The United States Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board recommended the company create an independent panel that would review a range of safety management issues before the completion of the full investigation. BP agreed to keep trailers at least 500 feet away from potential safety hazards and move non-essential workers into office space outside the refinery. Immediately following the incident, BP set aside $1.6 billion to settle lawsuits with victims and survivors. In 2007, the company pleaded guilty to felony charges and were initially charged $21 million from the Occupational Health and Safety Administration, then another $51 million in criminal penalties. BP agreed to fix the problems responsible as part of their plea agreement, which they failed to do, and were then handed an $87 million penalty 2 years later. There are many preventative measures that could have stopped this tragedy. Between 1994 and 2004, there were 8 reported incidents to CSB, 6 of which included the release of a hydrocarbon vapor cloud near ground level, while the other 2 involved the blowdown drum catching fire. There was no investigation that took place after these fires. From 1998 to 2000, BP decided to cut fixed costs by 25%. Lowering the amount of classroom and computer-based training received by all employees. In 2002, engineers suggested replacing the outdated blowdown system with a flare system. Despite being installed in the 1950s, the blowdown system was not removed due to costs and regulatory requirements associated with the flare system installation. The isomerization unit should not have been restarted that day due to equipment and instruments that needed repairs. There should have been a pre-startup safety review for the isomerization unit, but no such review was done. Another aspect of the problem was that the trailers were located too close to the production site. If hazard zones had been designated in which trailers were not authorized to park, the lives of 15 contractors could have been spared. News of the fatal plant explosion reached national attention quickly. Attention was heavily focused on BP, the obvious target of responsibility. Many demanded answers, while some victims and their loved ones wanted BP to own up to their own negligence. Hammered with questions, BP's responses were limited to short dialogues assuring the situation was carefully being looked into. Behind the scenes, however, BP was far more interested in uncovering any tracks that led to them. Years after the incident, interviews and investigations uncovered documents that seemed to show damage control as the company's top priority during and after the incident. BP employees were told to refrain from usage of negative words if they were questioned and to emphasize the positive aspects of their workplace. Overall, the revelations these investigations brought to light after the incident have exposed the knowingly negligent safety practices that took place at BP's Texas City plant. Now, over a decade later, Our nation still sees these large-scale chemical disasters happen more frequently than they should, raising the question, are we as a country learning from these mistakes or working to prevent them?